Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal, and you are watching the Mojo Story. Lots of things happening in India's neighborhood, particularly in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Remember, the two countries went to war with each other. Then there was a ceasefire, which is a fragile ceasefire. But also, importantly, Afghans have come up with a set of new directions. One of them is, of course, using the waters which flow from Afghan rivers into Pakistan for their own use for the construction of hydroelectric power projects that they can use for themselves, something that has always been an irritant for Pakistan. Now, Pakistan, which is grappling with the problem of TTP, has another challenge. The TTP leader, one of the TTP militants, has in fact threatened Pakistani Army Chief Asim Munir. It has said that if Asim Munir has the guts, he should directly face the TTP militants rather than sending his troops, his soldiers, to fight with them in Afghanistan. That's the topic of our discussion today. Let's directly introduce our guests. We joined today by uh, we joined by let's introduce our guests. We joined by uh, Right. We're joined by Ambassador Dilip Sinha. Welcome to Mojo Stories, sir, and also Air Marshal Sanjeev. He joins us. Welcome to Mojo Stories, sir. Uh, if I may start with you, Ambassador Dilip Sinha, the fact is that TTP has issued a new threat to Pakistani military leadership. There is a ceasefire in place, but that does not seem to be working right now, given that this new threat has come about. It can break any time. Afghans are very clear that they are not going to accept the Durand Line. In fact, there was a change in the Qatar agreement. They had to remove the word border when it came into effect.
This agreement, the ceasefire agreement reached in Qatar, was between the Taliban government in Kabul and Pakistan. The
Right.
TTP, to the best of my knowledge, was not party to this agreement. So I don't
Yeah.
think they would feel bound by it.
Right.
Remember, there is a distinction made both internationally and by the parties between TTP and the Afghan Taliban.
Right.
Uh, the Pakistan regards the TTP as a terrorist organization, while it has dealings with the Afghan Taliban. And Pakistan had hoped that when the Afghan Taliban came to power in Afghanistan, in which, of course, Pakistan, as we all know, helped the Taliban, they would stop supporting, or they would not support the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan.
Yes.
Now, this, unfortunately, for Pakistan has not happened. And the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan has found safe haven in Afghanistan.
Hmm.
And they are carrying out operations inside Pakistan,
Yeah.
especially in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. So that has been Pakistan's problem. And it had hoped that with this ceasefire, perhaps the Taliban Afghanistan would take some action against the TTP. That,
Yeah.
it seems, is a false hope for Pakistan.
Right. And this war seems to be just going on. It seems to be escalating. Only it's a matter of time when it will. There will be another set of hostilities between the two countries. What has happened in the meantime is that uh, the Pakistani establishment, Pakistani government, they have forcibly evicted Afghans who have been living in Pakistan for decades altogether, and they've asked them to move back to their country. Now, initially, there was a set procedure, but now force is also being used. We've seen those visuals from Karachi where those bastis were evicted. Afghans were evicted from those bastis and sent back to that country. Uh, Air Marshal Sanjeev ji, how do you see these developments? Because all of this is happening in India's neighborhood. And of course, it's come at a time when Afghan foreign minister was in India and he met with the Indian leadership. And that's exactly the time when these hostilities broke out between Afghanistan and Pakistan.
See, the Pakistan-Afghanistan relation is very complex.
Yeah.
I was watching a program the other day in which the Pakistani mainstream media is accusing Pathans of taking away their businesses. He says every business, be it in Karachi, Lahore, or other places, is headed by Pathans. They have come and encroached into our society, our systems. The Pathans are now taking away the transportation business. They have taken away the food business, the dry
Hmm.
fruit business, this thing, and now slowly, slowly, they are taking away our wealth and taking it back. So that is the general feeling, which so it could be a narrative because the Afghans have been coexisting with Pakistanis for decades. It's not
Right.
something. But after the relation between the Pakistani army and the Taliban soured in the recent past, we find these kind of statements coming from both sides. The
Yeah.
main acquisition, in my opinion, is the close bond between TTP and Baluch Liberation Army. So Pakistan armed forces are feeling that they are in connivance and that the strike both in the north and in the southwest are orchestrated together. So this is the first concept. The fragile peace which was signed in Qatar a few days ago, everybody at the stage knew, and I don't know the exact thing, but that time I read that on 25th October, they are supposed to meet again in Istanbul. That is,
Yeah.
I think, tomorrow. So I don't know whether that meeting happens or doesn't happen, but
Yeah.
both sides agreed to meet again on
Yeah.
25th. Now, the dam part, which you just mentioned, or the other sanctions which the Afghans are now threatening,
Yeah.
are initially posturing, in my opinion, will not have immediate effect. But a common man on both sides, by these kind of actions, is getting alarmed. The common Pakistani is feeling alienated, wherein they felt that it is a strategic depth. In the military parlance, Pakistani army is always said that Afghanistan is the strategic depth. But now
Right.
with depth going, and the foreign minister, when he was in India, this incident happened. So it's a pattern, the global pattern. When a senior functionary or a head of that particular country is visiting the other country, and if you
Yeah.
have to show your resentment, then there is a major terrorist activity or that kind of an activity, which is a pattern now. So I feel this action coincided with Afghan foreign minister being in Delhi a couple of weeks ago.
Right. Before we discuss further, I want to play this sound bite, which I thought was very significant. This is a militant of TTP giving a clear threatening to Asim Munir. Uh, it is very significant also because it comes in the backdrop of what's been happening in the last 1 month. Let's hear this before I come to you, Ambassador Sinha.
आप मर्द है कि अगर आपके सीने में मर्द का दिल है, आपने माँ की जो है ना अपनी माँ का दूध पिया है, तो हम इंशाल्लाह को आज आएंगे। फिर आप इतनी सी जो है ना मेहरबानी करें कि जो आम फौजियों को आप डेढ़ वक्त इनकी तरह बेचते हो, इनकी बजाय आप खुद भी आया करें, ताकि हम आपको जंगों का मजा चखाए, ताकि हम आपको ये बताएं कि जंग कैसी लड़ी जाए।
Ambassador Dilip Sinha, you heard it is clearly directed at Asim Munir because everybody knows it is basically Asim Munir who's calling shots in Pakistan, though there is Shehbaz Sharif government in charge. But everybody knows Shehbaz Sharif is just a puppet. It's Asim Munir who's calling the shots, and his proximity with America and America's interest in Bagram Air Base. You know, no less than President Trump has said that America would want to get back Bagram Air Base. So some people are drawing that connection that whatever is happening in Afghanistan is perhaps there is something got to do with America and its interest with the Bagram Air Base.
From the statement that the Americans made of wanting to get back to Bagram. But the differences between Afghanistan and Pakistan, as the Air Marshal explained, go back in history. And these differences are very strong, no government in Afghanistan has accepted the Durand Line as the border between the two countries. And in fact, the Taliban refused to use the term border for this time, which
Yeah.
is why, as you mentioned, Qatar had to withdraw the word, delete the word border from the statement that it released on the ceasefire agreement. The
Yeah.
Taliban simply refused to accept that there can be a border between two brotherly states. They say
Right.
that we are brothers, and especially the Pashtuns on both sides of the Durand Line. So we have this fact that the differences between Pakistan and Afghanistan on the border are extremely strong. In fact, I was reading another article today by a Pakistani who said that this is the most controversial and disputed border in South Asia, which means this Pakistani writer thought that the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir is less controversial than the Durand Line, which is absolutely correct, because this is there's a long history behind this border that divides the Pashtuns into two. So I think that is more a factor in this, although the fact that the Americans have shown interest in Bagram will definitely arouse nationalist sentiment within Afghanistan, because the Taliban certainly will not accept it, and they have also made statements to that effect. And if Pakistan thinks that it can piggyback on the Americans and get them back into Bagram Air Base, it would really be a comical reversal of history, because it was Pakistan that drove the Americans out through the Taliban after the 20-year struggle.
Yeah.
Now it'll pose the Taliban to get the Americans back into Afghanistan. That would really be a mockery of politics in this.
But Ambassador Sinha, let me intervene here. This is not the first time this has happened. Pakistanis supported the Mujahideen to fight with the Soviets. Then those Mujahideen became enemies because the tables had turned. Even that Taliban foreign minister was imprisoned in Pakistan at that point in time. And then now, with the help of Pakistanis, the Taliban's evicted America from Afghanistan. Now again, with the help of Pakistanis, America will get it. It is bizarre. It's just puzzling, mind-boggling.
Well, the only common thread that you can find here is that Pakistan has a policy to try and put a puppet regime in Afghanistan so that it can use Afghan territory for strategic depth, as they call it, and also to exploit its resources. Right. Now, unfortunately for them, although they are able to help various factions create trouble inside Afghanistan and at times get them into power, they are not able to control these factions the moment they take over power in Kabul, because whoever comes to power in Kabul immediately declares his independence of Pakistan. In fact, even people like Karzai and Ashraf Ghani, who were American puppets and put into power in Kabul, Americans had consulted the Pakistanis before putting them in power in Kabul. So while Pakistan selected these people as people who would be amenable to their instructions, the moment these people came to power in Afghanistan, they acted independently because they are Afghans. They have to protect their national interests rather than the interests of Pakistan.
And that cuts across those differences that Afghan groups have between themselves. Air Marshal Saab, I want to ask you one thing. All these things are happening in India's neighborhood. Obviously, India will be watching these things very carefully. But do you think this could have some sort of implications in India as well? We remember when Americans left Afghanistan and Taliban took over. The Pakistani ISA chief at that point in time was sipping tea in Afghanistan, and it was sort of a big statement. And that time there was a fear that perhaps now there could be some backlash in India. But now dramatically the things have changed, and they could change again dramatically. How cautious and should India be, and how should be India's approach to all these developments that are taking place?
Has given the full diplomatic status to the Afghan embassy. So that is the first statement.
Yeah.
Second statement is there is a rumor that the Afghan foreign minister may visit India again. The third statement is the Afghanistan wants India to train their pilots and equip them with air defense and other aspects, because their aerial, the Afghans, I feel, are feeling the pinch that their foot soldiers are good, But if the Pakistani Air Force decides to take out their targets, how will they defend
Yeah.
themselves? They have billions of dollars of worth of American equipment with the Americans left, but there is nobody
Yeah.
to train and operate them. So this is one aspect of the defense part which the Afghans would be. Also, they would be looking at the offensive element by air, wherein they would expect them to have some sort of a capability to enter a Pakistan territory and take out their targets. For
Yeah.
India, the issue is that the neighborhood will become more. And what happens typically in normal warfare is when any conflict is going on in one border, the borders can be switched within no time. So when the mobilization of the Pakistani troops and the armor and their air defense batteries starts towards the northwest side towards Afghanistan, it may suddenly take shape and they may open a front here in POJK or Punjab border. So we have to be
Yeah.
very cautious when you are right, absolutely, that India would be observing these developments very carefully, and India has made no remarks in a manner to hide its closeness to the Afghan people. We have, been for many decades, been helping them in every aspect, and right in our military establishments, be it the National Defense Academy, IMA, Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, and other higher command staff colleges, the Afghan officers and cadets have been continuously being trained. Before Taliban came and after Taliban came, the Afghan cricket team is stationed in India. The Bollywood and Indian food is much popular in Afghanistan than
Yeah.
probably anywhere in South Asia. So the years
Yeah.
of travel, whether whichever government stays, be it Karzai or be it Taliban, the bonhomie I feel which the Indians have with the Afghan people is a
Yeah.
tilting way for us. That's my take.
Yes, and that has always been like that, in the sense that whatever dispensation has been in Afghanistan, India's connect with the people there and their connect with the people here has always been strong. Uh, it does not matter that if it is Taliban now, it was Karzai in the past, it was Ashraf Ghani, but the people to people connect has always been strong. And there has been always a friction between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Now, you talk about the cricket team, Ambassador Dilip Sinha. The fact that cricketers were also targeted. Pakistani aerial strike also killed some cricketers, and that led to a strong resentment. Afghans have stopped playing cricket with Pakistan after that.
Yes, Pakistan's problem is that Pakistan thinks that all problems should be resolved by military means. It does not give any importance, any credit, any endeavor to try and
Yeah,
resolve these issues through peaceful dialogue.
yeah,
It's always the ISI, it's always the army chief who's in the forefront of these talks and negotiations. The
yeah,
Pakistani Foreign Office is sidelined, not that Pakistani Foreign Office is independent of its army.
yeah,
Uh, but given this situation, this predilection in Pakistan to using force to resolve issues will immediately lead to all kinds of problems. And they are facing this problem because although they themselves put the Taliban, they created the Taliban in Pakistan,
yeah,
they then nurtured them, put them in power in Afghanistan, and
yeah.
and they have lost them because of their use of violence in trying to resolve any differences that they have with their neighbors.
Yes, and this is the miscalculation that Pakistanis have always been making about Afghanistan, uh, trying to put up proxies there in the hope that they will listen to Pakistan's dictation, which has never happened. I think they not also learn from history that certain things cannot change. If Afghans are not accepting Durand Line as the border, it's going to remain. No Afghan. See, if Pakistan fought a war with the Taliban regime, it was not that bad when it was Karzai or Ashraf Ghani. That time they were not fighting a war, but now it's actually they are fighting a war. So I think there should be that sense in and as Afghans are telling them that it's a graveyard of empires. That's another name of Afghanistan, whether it's the British Empire, whether it's the Soviets, whether it's the Americans. Pakistan stands no chance, Air Marshal Sanjeev.
The Afghan territory has historically been a place, a melting pot kind of a thing where many people, right from Alexander downwards, all the invaders had to go through. And historically, there's a curse which says in
Yeah,
Mahabharata, which
yeah,
says that this land will never be peaceful ever. So I don't know what are the two facts, but certainly this place, you know. And coming to your first point, which you mentioned about
yeah,
Bagram, I have
yeah.
spoken about it a number of times. I fail to comprehend that in 2021, in whatever decisions the US took to withdraw from Afghanistan, why did they not think about Bagram uh, at that stage? Because it is so strategically located. It's just about 1 hour from the Chinese nuclear sites. It covers the complete Xinjiang region of China. It looks after the Central Asia, the Iranian. So certainly, as the case has been, America
Right.
is keen, and I don't know behind the Asim Munir's visits to Washington whether there's been a pact that this skirmish would be a facade beyond which the Americans will try and enter, because under no case will the Afghans leave. So Afghans will move to Russians, Chinese, Turkish, and Indians to help them to grow in their war-fighting capabilities, to defend. For pilot
Right.
training, air defense, they will come
Yes.
here.
Uh,
But
yes. We seem
otherwise,
to have some connection problem with the air marshal. But Ambassador Dilip Sinha, the fact is that it was Trump's administration that did a negotiation with Taliban in Doha, and uh, n- it must have been a part of deal. Americans left Afghanistan. They wanted to leave at that point. They were very much eager to leave because the Americans thought that it is not serving their purpose anymore. But now the same Trump administration wants to gain control of Bagram. Is it even possible to have an isolated control of Bagram when they are not occupying that country anymore? It is at least one issue where Afghans, Chinese, India, and Pakistan are also on the face of it. Pakistan is also saying that Americans should not take control of Bagram. So it is a, I don't know how, what makes strategically it will be important for Americans, but that time is over now.
Well, this is typical Trump politics for the rest of the world. We saw a little bit of that in his first term. In the second term, it's come out quite in
Yeah,
the open that he keeps switching positions, keeps changing them. We don't know where he stands. In the case
yeah,
of Bagram, some interest has been expressed, but I don't think it's been done very seriously. In any case, it is if the Taliban opposed to their coming into return to Bagram, that's
yeah,
impossible. No
yeah,
country in the region will accept the Americans being there. I don't think even we will welcome that, because they will immediately become a focal for terror attacks, and
uh,
all kinds of Islamic fundamentalist organizations will crop up in the area to take on the Americans. So, apart from the fact that they could not save themselves when they were there for 20 years because of their policies, now if they try to occupy only the Bagram air base, it will be impossible. They'll be constantly attacked by these elements, and they'll flee just the way they fled the last time.
yes. I don't know. Those are, President Trump is very unpredictable. You don't know what's going to say tomorrow, but he spoke about Bagram a few times and his interest in gaining control of that airbase once again. But that is not possible because Afghan Taliban has made it clear that they are not going to give an inch of their land to anybody. It is not possible now. It may not have been possible at that time also. We remember when those flights started moving out of Afghanistan and people were climbing on those flights. The way that Americans left Afghanistan is also a big statement in itself, Air Marshal Sanjeev.
yes, the after having spent nearly $3 trillion, 20 years, losing thousands of people, and they wanted to oust Taliban, but they handed over back to Taliban. That's how the 20 years conflict from 2001 to 2021 is termed.
Yeah,
Uh, I have a different take on the whole situation.
yeah,
When Imran Khan was in power, the situation was different with Afghans. And that's
yeah,
how the ISI chief went there and the changeover took place. But
yeah,
with Imran Khan in prison, his party
yeah.
nearly dissipated in all senses. And with the American influence going, especially after Op Sindoor, the equations are different now. The same Taliban is not behaving in the same manner as what they behaved when Imran Khan was in power. That's my take.
Yeah. And it is quite possible because Imran Khan has issued a statement from the prison that if he is released on parole, he can broker a peace between Pakistan and Taliban. That's what we read from the reports. But also the fact remains that nobody in Pakistan can challenge its army. It is basically the army. Nothing can, no political administration has a say when it comes to Afghanistan or for that matter other countries. So it's the Pakistani army which has taken the call. And I don't know what their plan is, but it seems that it's a part of a larger plan. The way that Asim Munir met with Trump showed him a briefcase full of minerals. I don't know what sort of dreams they're showing to Americans. And then they talked about oil reserves in their country and American companies can come. And the most important part of it, the flattery part of it, is nobody can beat Pakistan is the way that Shahbaz Sharif spoke in front of Trump and again nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. The fact is that it could be a small element in the larger game. Ambassador Dilip Sinha, do you have that reading that it could be? And Trump said that he could resolve this war also. He has an obsession for resolving wars. He already claimed that he has resolved 9 wars. He has solved 9 wars, and this could be a 10th war. And he said it is easy for him to end the Afghanistan Pakistan war.
Before I go into this, I must commend Air Marshal for reminding us of Imran Khan. In
Yeah,
fact, it is not for nothing that Imran Khan was at that time called Taliban Khan because of
yeah,
his proximity to the Taliban. We
yeah,
must remember that although Imran Khan is extremely popular in Punjab and all over Pakistan, he
hmm,
essentially is a Pashtun himself.
yeah,
And his proximity to the Taliban is what enabled his party to come to power in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa first, before
yeah,
it came into power in the rest of Pakistan. And even today, his party controls Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So he certainly has a good liaison with these people. And it is possible that he'll be able to at least reduce the tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan if his policies are brought back. But that again becomes the problem for Field Marshal Munir, because Field Marshal Munir is actually fighting. His primary fight is not with Afghanistan. His primary fight is with Imran Khan, because
yes,
challenge that comes to him is from Imran Khan, and he has to assert his power. Shahbaz Sharif is no threat to him, but Imran Khan is. So he has
right,
to assert his authority vis-a-vis Imran Khan, and he hopes that with American help, he'll be able to bring enough capital and resolve the financial problems that the country faces, and thereby strengthen his position to a point where he can perhaps negate the trend or the popularity of Imran Khan in the country. Whether he'll be able to do that or not, only time can tell. But certainly, he's trying to get the Americans to come in with some money and help consolidate both his regime and the regime of Shehbaz Sharif, which he
yeah.
controls, so that Pakistan's economic position can become slightly better, especially at a time when China's economic assistance is clearly slowing down in Pakistan.
Ambassador Dilip Sinha, when you were speaking, it just reminded me, recently this Pakistani top general, Sahir Shamsad Mirza, the top general, said that Indian military is politicized and Indian politicians are militarized. I was just wondering, Pakistan, the most popular leader who won the election, is in jail but a proxy, a puppet government has been installed. Installed by whom? By the military. I it is rather bizarre, those statements coming from Pakistan. Air Marshal Sanjeev ji, uh, you can throw some light on this. The fact that Pakistani's hypocrisies, there's no end to it.
See, history is full. You see, in 1948, 1965, 1971, the narrative which they give to the people, even after
Oh,
Ops and they lost 11 air bases.
oh,
They gave 175 posthumous awards on their
oh,
14th August ceremony. It means confirmed that these many people have died. But yet, to the people, they said they have won the war,
yeah,
and they were distributing sweets in Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Lahore. And
yeah,
today, you ask any Pakistani person in their country, they have put down 6 Rafales of India, they have destroyed S-400, they have captured Squadron leader Shivani Singh, they have, run over Indian airfields, and it is Indians who went begging for ceasefire. So they have an ability. Nowhere in the narrative have they lost 71 more. Nowhere in the narrative have they created the Bangladesh has been created. Nowhere the 93,000 prisoners of war were there. Nowhere in the narrative the Kargil heights were lost. Nowhere in the narrative Uri Balakot happened. Some birds were dead and some
yeah, yeah.
bodies were done.
A crow was dead. That they showed that a crow was killed.
Have a uncanny. Basically, they have a gullible public, and anybody who raises his voice in the country, the grip of ISI is so strong that this person disappears either from the country or nobody knows about him. So, out of fear, out of ignorance, and out of actual control, they are manipulating everything, the print media, the social media. You see, go on any Twitter or YouTube channel and see the kind of responses which the Pakistanis are putting on the narrative which is going from the Indian side, and it shows you the mindset with which they cannot be changed now, and they are riding on this. The Pakistani army is riding on this mindset, and they would want the people to be polarized, and that's how it might take the whole issue is, and it will continue this way.
Yes, we'll have to take last comments now. Ambassador Dilip Sinha, the fact is that if Pakistani army, if there is a resolution of issues and disputes, it will have no significance. The Pakistani army is there ruling because they have inculcated a sense of fear in the people that we are your sole saviors. Now, they may have lost the war with India in those 4 days, but the fact is that Pakistani army position changed after that war. It was at a very low, its graph was very low, but suddenly it has improved. And Asim Munir has become a field marshal. He was an army chief. Field marshal, a person is elevated to the position of field marshal after winning the war. So they are essentially saying they won the war and they are the sole survivors, saviors of Pakistan. So it is serving their purpose of keeping their grip on that country. As I was saying, the most popular leader is in jail, who won the election is in jail, despite his party symbol was taken and everything was done to stop him from winning. He still won, but is in jail. The fact that Pakistani army is saying that, see, there was a war and we fought the war and we won the war for you, you have no option.
Yes, you see, the Operation Sindoor definitely helped Asim Munir
Yeah,
to establish and consolidate his power inside Pakistan, and he has
yeah,
used the operation to full effect. First, to consolidate his position within the country,
yeah,
and then to turn to America and seek American help uh, to project a picture of India becoming a dominant power in the region, which he has convinced the Americans is not in American interest, and therefore America must come in and try and balance that rise of India. And he's tried to successfully, to a certain extent, successfully manage to raise the old American policy of balancing India and Pakistan, a policy that America had abandoned for quite some time. But this seems to have come back into the Washington thinking. And Asim Munir has taken full advantage of this. So we have to reckon with this in our policy now. That Pakistan, one is more, the military has become stronger inside Pakistan, and Pakistan has become far more active internationally to protect its interests.
Right. And also the fact that Asim Munir is not going to go anywhere now because he's the field marshal and he's already on I don't know how many extensions, and he's not going to retire. Air Marshal Sanjeev ji, before we wrap up.
He will continue. He will accompany Shahbaz Sharif in every meeting. Any meeting after Op Sindhu,
Yeah.
he is accompanied. And never ever in the history, to my knowledge, Ambassador Sinha has more experience, that an army chief of some country has been hosted by the US President alone. So it indicates where the power lies. Everybody acknowledges, even to Saudi, Qatar, all these meetings, he goes along and he gets personal audience from the head of states. So everybody knows where the power lies. But one thing I'll give the credit to the devil, they are able to manage the Chinese and the Americans and the Afghans at the same time. They are balancing with their tact, narrative, and yet keeping the public, totally that they are the last saviors for them. And that will continue as long as Imran Khan is in jail and the public is willing to buy this narrative which the Pak army is giving them.
Right, and that's a very significant point. Pakistan army is talking about rights of other people in other countries, but the fact is, when are they going to give rights to their own people? That's a big question, because if the people have spoken in election, they have cast their vote, but the man who was supposed to be the prime minister is in jail. Whatever his policies, whatever his ideology, that is besides the point. But the fact is that if it's a democracy and people have voted for him, he is in jail, but another party which did not win is ruling, as they call it. It is the hybrid government, the hybrid system. That is why, uh, in all the meetings of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, the army chief is accompanying him. There can be no better indication and reflection of that hybrid system. We'll have to wrap it up here. Thanks so much, uh, Ambassador Dilip Sinha, Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor ji, for joining us today and for sharing your thoughts. And thanks to our viewers for watching the Mojo Story. Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.